Tired, sweaty, and juggling boxes and a suitcase, she fumbled with the keys. The apartment numbers blurred in her mind. Exhausted, she knocked on the first door that looked right. The door swung open, revealing a man who made her heart stutter. Tall, impeccably dressed, with dark eyes that seemed to pierce her very soul, he leaned casually against the frame. "You live here now," he said, his voice low, commanding, yet smooth like velvet over steel. Her eyes widened. I think you're mistaken." "No mistake," he interrupted, stepping closer. The faint scent of his cologne, warm, spicy, intoxicating, wrapped around her. Her stomach fluttered. Her pulse raced. She backed up instinctively, but the door frame was behind her. "You don't argue with me," he murmured, tilting his head. His hand brushed hers as he reached past her to close the door, the contact sending a jolt through her body. I can't stay here," she protested, though her voice sounded small even to her own ears. He smirked, eyes darkening. "Oh, you can. And you will. Trust me." She swallowed, trying to focus, but the proximity was maddening. The heat in the room was more than the summer air, it was him. His fingers lingered near hers, brushing lightly again, and she shivered, aware of a heat she wasn't ready to admit. "You're bold," he said softly, leaning closer so that her breath caught in her throat. "I like that. But bold can be dangerous." Her chest tightened. His presence was intoxicating, dangerous, thrilling. She should have run, but her body betrayed her, leaning ever so slightly toward him, craving what she knew was forbidden. He smiled, a slow, knowing curve of his lips. "From now on you live here," he repeated, each word deliberate, electric. His gaze swept over her, leaving a trail of fire in its wake. "And I expect you to obey." She wanted to resist, wanted to run, but the tremble in her knees told the truth. Part of her, deep inside, already wanted exactly what he was offering. The next morning, she awoke in a room far more lavish than any she could afford. Silk sheets, soft lighting, and the faint scent of him lingering in the air. Her heart raced as the memory of last night's tension, and that brushed hand, lingered. A knock at the door made her jump. Before she could answer, it swung open, and there he stood, towering and perfectly composed, as if he owned not just the room but the world. "You're up early," he said, his dark eyes raking over her in a way that made her cheeks burn. "Good. There's a lot you need to learn about living here." She swallowed hard, trying to keep her voice steady. "I don't need lessons." He stepped inside anyway, moving with that calm, predatory grace that made her pulse thrum. His fingers brushed her arm as he passed. The touch was light, fleeting, but it ignited a fire she didn't dare to name. "You resist," he murmured, close enough that her lips tingled at his proximity. "I like that. Makes it fun." Her breath caught. His gaze lingered on her, smoldering, teasing. Every inch of her body responded against her will, craving his touch, yet she fought to maintain control. "I'm not staying," she protested, her voice shaking despite her resolve. He tilted his head, smirk widening, and leaned just close enough for her to feel his warmth. "You are. And soon, you'll stop arguing." His hand lingered near hers again, the brush of skin sending shivers down her spine. She wanted to step back, but something inside her ached to lean in, to feel him closer. The tension between them was a dangerous, electric current, making the air thick with desire. Finally he stepped away just enough to let her breathe. "You'll learn," he said, voice a low, teasing growl. "And you'll learn that resisting me is only going to make things harder for you." As he left, she pressed her back to the wall, knees weak, body buzzing with anticipation. She hated him. No, she didn't. She hated that her body craved him, that every brush of his hand left her trembling, every glance leaving her breathless. And she knew deep down she wouldn't be leaving anytime soon. Days passed, but she still hadn't managed to escape his magnetic presence. Every corner of the mansion seemed to hold him, leaning against door frames, appearing suddenly in hallways, his dark eyes tracking her every move. One evening, while she was organizing the kitchen, he appeared behind her. Warm breath brushed her neck and she froze. "You move like a careful little thing," he murmured, his hand grazing her shoulder as he passed. "But care won't save you here." Her body reacted despite herself, heat pooling between her thighs. She swallowed, trying to steady her racing pulse, but his closeness made it impossible. "You feel that?" he whispered, leaning in. His hand slid slowly down her arm, deliberate, teasing, sending sparks through her nerves. "That's desire. It doesn't lie." She stepped back, desperate for space, but he mirrored her movements with predator-like precision, closing the distance again. The tension coiled tight, erotic, dangerous. She hated how much she wanted him, yet hated that she wanted to resist even more. "Stop," she breathed, but her voice was weak. He smirked, the corner of his lips curling with knowing amusement. "Stop what? Resisting me? Or wanting me?" His hand lingered at her waist, grazing just enough to make her knees tremble. Every instinct screamed at her to push him away, yet her body betrayed her, leaning subtly into his touch. He noticed. He always noticed. "That's better," he murmured, voice low, vibrating against her ear. "Learning to feel, to respond, is part of living here." She shivered as his hand brushed her back, and the heat building between them was undeniable. Desire, tension, and fear swirled together, making her aware that every glance, every touch, was a test. By the time he left the room, she was trembling, heart hammering, and aching with a need she barely understood. One thing was certain: living here wasn't going to be safe. Not for her heart, not for her body, and certainly not for her sanity. And yet, she knew she couldn't resist him. She had thought she knew the mansion, but tonight she followed him into a room she'd never seen before. Shadows flickered across polished marble as men in expensive suits argued in hushed, tense tones. She froze, heart pounding, not just from fear but from the nearness of him. He noticed immediately, stepping close behind her. The heat from his body pressed against her back, and she inhaled sharply, caught between terror and desire. "You shouldn't be here," he murmured, low and dangerous, letting the tip of his finger trace along her arm as he guided her out of the way. Her skin tingled at every touch. I didn't mean to," she stammered, cheeks burning. He silenced her with a hand at her waist, holding her against him. The sharp scent of his cologne, the steady thrum of his heartbeat, and the dangerous power radiating from him made her body ache. "Everywhere you go, you're in my world now," he whispered, teeth brushing her earlobe. His fingers slid slightly lower, teasing her without permission, making her shiver uncontrollably. "And in my world you learn quickly, or you get hurt." Her knees weakened. She tried to step back, but his firm grip held her close. The tension was electric, and the danger of the room heightened the erotic charge between them. "You feel it, don't you?" he breathed, lips dangerously near her neck. "The pull, the want, it's not just fear. You want me here. You can't deny it." She bit her lip, torn between embarrassment and the undeniable truth. Yes, she wanted him. Every brush of his hand, every press of his body against hers, set her on fire. Finally he released her, his gaze smoldering, but the heat lingered long after. "Careful," he warned, voice low and commanding. "Being close to me comes with consequences." She swallowed, heart hammering, and realized that danger wasn't the only thrill here. Desire had crept in, sharp, insistent, and impossible to ignore. She was no longer just a visitor in his world. She was a player, and he was teaching her the rules, one erotic lesson at a time. The house was quiet, but sleep eluded her. Moonlight spilled across her room, casting long shadows as she tried to calm her racing thoughts. Every brush of memory, his dark eyes, the brush of his hands, made her ache with need. A soft knock pulled her from her thoughts. Before she could answer, the door opened. He stood there, commanding and impossibly close, eyes smoldering with a fire that made her pulse quicken. "Can't sleep?" he murmured, stepping inside. The scent of him, warm, intoxicating, wrapped around her. She tried to retreat, but her body betrayed her, rooted to the spot. "You're restless," he whispered, closing the distance. His fingers lightly brushed her arm and a shiver ran through her. "Maybe you need guidance." Her breath hitched. She began, but he silenced her with a finger to her lips, his gaze locking onto hers. Every inch of space between them was charged, dangerous, and impossible to resist. He leaned closer, warm breath grazing her cheek. "You feel it too, don't you?" His hand trailed from her arm to her waist, teasing, daring. The heat pooling between her legs betrayed her resolve. She tried to step back, but he followed, pressing gently against her. "Stop, please," she whispered, but the trembling in her voice betrayed her body's agreement with him. A smirk curved his lips. "Stop? Or keep resisting?" He tilted his head, lips hovering near hers, teasing. The tension was unbearable. Every nerve in her body ached to close the distance, to feel him, to surrender. Just as their lips were about to brush, he pulled back, letting the anticipation hang like electricity in the air. "Not yet," he murmured, voice low, teasing, possessive. "But soon you'll learn what it feels like to give in." Her knees weakened as he left, but the fire between them remained. The danger, the thrill, the heat, they were intoxicating. She realized she had crossed a line. Desire was no longer optional. It had taken hold, and resisting him would only make the eventual surrender even more consuming. The night was thick with tension. Outside the mansion, rival gangs moved in shadows, whispers of danger reaching every corner. She shivered, not from fear alone, but from the way he had held her close earlier, his body pressed against hers in a protective heat that left her breathless. He appeared in her room without knocking, as if reading her thoughts. Dark eyes smoldered as he stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "They're getting too close," he murmured, voice low and possessive. "You stay here. Stay with me." Her pulse quickened at the command, and at the closeness. His hand found hers, gripping gently but firmly, sending shivers down her spine. Every brush of his touch, every intentional movement, ignited a fire she couldn't contain. "You feel that?" he whispered, tracing circles along her wrist. "That's desire, danger, fear, all tangled together. You're alive now, with me." She swallowed hard, heat pooling between her legs, and wanted to deny it, but her body betrayed her. She pressed closer, needing the warmth, the control, the undeniable erotic charge that came from being this close to him. He leaned in, lips brushing her ear, teasing, dangerous. "Close your eyes," he commanded softly, and when she did, he drew her into him. Hands roamed slowly, deliberately, sending pulses of fire through her body. Every touch was electric, every movement intoxicating. She gasped as he pulled back slightly, letting the tension linger. "This is only the beginning," he murmured. "Being close to me is dangerous. But you like danger, don't you?" "Yes," she whispered, barely able to breathe, her body trembling with a mix of fear and lust. He smiled, a dangerous, knowing smirk. "Good. Then we'll survive this, together. And every moment of fear will be entwined with pleasure." Even as he left, closing the door softly behind him, the electricity remained. Her body ached with want, her mind buzzing with the thrill of forbidden touches. Danger had never felt so intoxicating, nor desire so irresistible. She realized one undeniable truth: in his world, fear and lust were inseparable, and she was hopelessly, deliciously caught. The storm outside mirrored the storm building between them. She found herself in the study, nervously fidgeting, when he appeared without warning. His dark eyes softened for the first time, revealing a vulnerability that made her heart skip. "Why are you here?" she asked, though her voice trembled with anticipation. "To talk," he murmured, stepping closer. His hand brushed her shoulder and electricity shot through her. "About who I am, and who I want." Her breath hitched. "I don't know if I can handle this world," she whispered. He cupped her face gently, thumb grazing her lips. "You already are," he said softly. "And you handle it beautifully, better than anyone ever could." Their eyes locked, tension thick and charged. Every inch of her skin ached for him, and when his hand traced her jawline, she trembled with need. "You feel it too," he murmured, voice low and rough. "Desire, longing, the pull between us. It's impossible to ignore." Her lips parted involuntarily. I can't stop thinking about you," she admitted, heat flooding her cheeks. I want you." A slow, predatory smile curved his lips. "Good," he breathed, leaning closer. The warmth of his body pressed against hers, sending shivers through every nerve. "Because I want you too, more than I've wanted anyone." Their lips met in a searing kiss, slow and intoxicating. Hands roamed, exploring, teasing, igniting fires that left them both trembling. Every brush of skin against skin, every sigh and shiver, pulled them deeper into a whirlwind of erotic desire. When they finally broke apart, gasping, he rested his forehead against hers. "You're mine," he murmured, voice husky. "In this world, in every world, mine." She shivered, unable to resist, unable to deny the truth. The connection between them was fierce, consuming, and utterly erotic. Vulnerability had become intimacy, and intimacy had become desire, a dangerous, delicious fire that neither of them wanted to extinguish. In his arms, with the storm raging outside and between them, she realized one undeniable truth: passion and danger were inseparable, and she wanted both, completely. The mansion was tense with whispers of betrayal. Someone close had crossed him, and the danger had never felt more real. She had been hiding, heart hammering, when he found her, dark eyes blazing with fury and desire. "You shouldn't be here," he growled, but the edge in his voice sent shivers through her. His hands gripped her arms, pulling her close, pressing her body against his. Heat pooled between them, mingling with adrenaline. She started, but words failed her. He silenced her with a rough, demanding kiss, consuming her lips with a passion that left her dizzy. His hands roamed boldly, exploring, claiming. Every touch burned, every sigh she let out fed the fire between them. "You're mine," he whispered against her ear, lips grazing her skin. "And right now you're the only thing I care about." She trembled, body responding to his every movement. The danger outside only heightened the erotic tension, making every touch feel sharper, every kiss more urgent. She arched against him, lost in the friction of need and fear. He pressed her to the wall, lips trailing down her neck, hands gripping her waist, teasing, exploring. The world outside ceased to exist. It was just them, the heat, the danger, and the undeniable craving between them. "Do you feel it?" he murmured, lips brushing her collarbone. "The pull, the fire? It's more than desire. It's survival. And you survive me, willingly." "Yes," she gasped, fingers clutching his shirt, feeling every ripple of his strength. I want you." His smile was dark, satisfied as he captured her in another fierce, heated kiss. Every movement, every press of skin against skin was a declaration of dominance, of passion, of need. When he finally pulled back, he held her close, forehead to forehead, both breathing heavily. "You're reckless," he murmured, a smirk tugging at his lips. "And I love it." She shivered in his arms, realizing that danger and desire were inseparable, and that she never wanted to escape either. Betrayal had brought them closer, fanning the erotic fire that now consumed them both. The night was heavy with tension. The rival factions had closed in and danger lurked in every shadow. She knew she had a choice: leave and live a safe, ordinary life, or stay and embrace the thrilling, erotic chaos of his world. He appeared at her door, dark eyes locking onto hers. "It's time," he murmured, voice low, commanding. "Decide. Stay, or go." Her pulse raced, body aching with desire, every memory of their touches, kisses, and whispered confessions igniting her from within. She couldn't deny the pull, the erotic tension that had consumed them for weeks. I'm staying," she whispered, voice trembling but resolute. The moment the words left her lips, his expression softened, dark smoldering heat giving way to something tender and dangerously possessive. He stepped closer, hand trailing along her jaw, thumb brushing her lips. "Good," he murmured. "Because you belong here, with me." Before she could react, he captured her mouth in a searing, passionate kiss. Hands roamed, exploring, claiming, igniting fires that left them both trembling. Every press of his body, every graze of his fingers, was electric, consuming, erotic. "You feel it too," he whispered against her lips. "The want, the need, it's unstoppable. And you can't fight it anymore." Her hands tangled in his hair, pressing closer, responding to every heated movement, every teasing touch. The mansion around them vanished, replaced by a world of erotic surrender. Fear, danger, and desire intertwined, driving them to a new level of passion. When they finally broke apart, gasping, he held her close, forehead to forehead. "You chose wisely," he murmured, voice husky. "Here, with me, you'll have everything." Heat and longing still coursed through her veins, body humming with anticipation of more touches, more kisses, more surrender. She realized that staying meant fully embracing both danger and erotic desire, entwined in a way she had never imagined. For the first time she surrendered completely, to him, to the world, and to the fire that consumed them both. The mansion was quiet, but the air between them crackled with tension. Every glance, every brush of skin over silk and marble, held a promise, dangerous, thrilling, and impossibly erotic. He appeared in her room, dark eyes smoldering, lips curved with that predatory smile she had learned to crave. "You're mine," he murmured, voice low and rough. "Completely." Her body trembled, desire igniting at every word. She didn't resist. She wanted this, wanted him, the danger, the fire that consumed them both. He closed the distance, hands roaming boldly, exploring, claiming. She gasped as his lips pressed against hers, slow and demanding, a kiss that left no part of her untouched. Every brush, every sigh, every tremble of her body fueled the fire between them. "You've waited long enough," he whispered against her ear, lips tracing the curve of her neck. "Now, it's all ours." Their movements became urgent, desperate, and exquisitely erotic. She arched into him, gasping at every touch, every slide of his hands over her skin. The world outside, the threats, the danger, faded until there was nothing but heat, passion, and the intoxicating pull of desire. He held her close, guiding, teasing, making every moment ache with pleasure. She surrendered completely, giving herself to the rush of sensation, to the erotic thrill of being his, utterly and without restraint. Finally they paused, breathless and trembling, foreheads touching, hearts racing in unison. "From now on," he murmured, voice husky, "we face everything together." She smiled, shivering with desire and satisfaction, knowing she belonged here, entwined with him in danger, in lust, in life. The fire between them was unbreakable, insatiable and completely consuming. In the quiet aftermath, as moonlight bathed their bodies and the mansion held its secrets, she realized she had found more than passion. She had found a home, a lover, and a life intertwined with the most dangerous and irresistible man she had ever known. From now on, she would never be alone again.